Yeah.
Best truck ever.
It sounded like it was going to fly apart whenever you were inside of it.
I
And
took
outside
it
of
to a mechanic and had him go through the motors and had a set of headers on it. And I had dual exhaust and glass packs. Had a cam out of a Corvette in it. And so it would go, and I'd go down the road and I'd rev it, I'd kick it out of gear and rev the motor whenever I come down, the road.
Yeah.
And I'd put it back in gear. And Daddy would say, I wish to God you'd get that horn fixed. I said, Daddy, the horn works, but the truck's louder. He said, why can't you just blow the horn like everybody else? All right, so I told you about the black truck. Daddy hated that big old GMC truck I had. And it was the one that had been on fire. I bought it from Mike Grindstaff's daddy. And it had been on fire. And so to get the headlights to burn, you had to turn the windshield wipers on. And the windshield wiper switch would get real hot. The wires underneath the hood was melted together. And the windshield wiper switch would get real hot, and you had to put a piece of cardboard in there to hold it in place. But it was fun to drive. It was like an archaeological dig, because every time you drove it, something new happened. You didn't know what was going to go on. So we had to go pick up a chest of drawers down in Bluff City next to the train tracks. And we go, and the woman wasn't there yet. And so Daddy despised that truck. And I drove it down to Bluff City, and I was all happy, and Daddy was sitting over there like it. And the woman wasn't home, and that made it that much worse. So I said, I was sitting there, had the window down, and it was a pretty day like today. I had the window down, and Daddy said he heard a train coming. He said, hey, go down the road, and let's see how fast that train's going. I said, but he said, just drive. And whenever I tell you, he said, I'll look at you, and I'll point whenever you get even with the train, and you tell me how fast you're going. I said, but Dad, just drive. I said, okay, Dad. I fired up the old truck, and I put it in gear, and we took off down the road. Boom. And about that time, Daddy reached up and grabbed hold of the side of the door, and he poked his head out like a dog. And his hair was blowing. And he was watching that train, and he was waiting for us to get perfect with it. And I was driving, and I thought, and I kept driving down the road, and Daddy held his hand up, and I thought, and I let off. And so I sped up a little bit more, and Daddy pulled his head back in. His hair was all jacked up, and he said, how fast we going? I said, I tried to tell you, Dad, the speedometer don't work. The rest of the way home, he was like this.